Well, namaste and good morning, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to an extraordinary moment. I see those hearts popping up already. I'm glad you're in the live chat, and I am truly, truly honored to spend this time with you. I want to first and foremost invite us all to really bring a hand to our heart as we begin today and to invite ourselves to be in the presence of this moment. You know, here we are, it's January 4th, and this is such an extraordinary opportunity for all of us to dive into the depth of our divine presence and say yes. To say yes to this world, to say yes to this moment, and to say yes to the illumination that is before us right now. You know, I want to kick things off right away by sharing with you the January energy calendar, because truly we are at a magnificent moment. And if you gaze at this, if you look at the calendar, and I'm going to go back, especially for those of you that it might be your very first time joining me, and if you are, thank you, and make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. I want you to pay attention right now to what we're gazing at, and pay attention to the fact that in the energy of this extraordinary full moon that is here in the present moment to illuminate, to radiate, and to assist us to remember that today, right now in this moment, as you're seeing right here, the quadratids are peaking. Now, what does that mean? What does that really mean? Well, what it means is that yesterday, when we were in the energy of the full moon, when we have been bringing all of this together, look at the energy that's happening in your life. First, second, third, fourth. And this is really important. I can't share it enough, not only personally, but globally. And go beyond that. Give yourself the gift of paying attention. What is happening in your life right now? What is revealing itself? What are you aware of? Because the first brought us into this initiation of awareness. Now that's a powerful energy because awareness is where it all begins. Remember that in the ever-refining cycle of our ascended presence, it all begins with awareness. And from awareness, we move into the experience that comes forward through that, and then ultimately into choice. And then that cycle continually refines awareness, experience, choice. Awareness, experience, choice. This is a powerful gift for you to remember. Now, as we have been navigating the past few days, and those of you that were with me yesterday on our ceremonial call, thank you. And thank you for being here again today. I really appreciate your support, and the world appreciates your presence. If you have found your way to this broadcast, if you have found your way here this morning, then I honor you. And I honor you for taking the time to say yes to yourself, to say yes to humanity, and to say yes to that which is happening in our world right now. Because one of the things I want to share with you right now, not too many years ago, the divine directors came forward and offered this profound wisdom that you're gazing at right now. And that wisdom is to remember that when people are afraid, when they give in to their fear, they will give away their power. And so consider that right now we are living in a planetary thought body where fear is our greatest teacher, where we move through fear, where the energy of fear is that which is before us. Yet the gift of that, and it's a true gift, is that when we are aware of that through that awareness, experience, choice model, fear no longer limits. It can become a propellant. And this is extraordinarily important to remember as we're diving into 2026, because 2026 is an alchemical new era for humanity. To remember that when people are afraid, they will give away their power. And even more importantly, when people are terrified, they will give away their soul. And this is the moment before us right now. Are you able to say yes to you? Are you able to say yes to your life beyond that which is seeking to cause you fear? Now, when we gaze at that, when we look at what's happening right now, you're saying, Kira, hey, what does this have to do with the revelations? What does this have to do with the predictions? Well, quite frankly, everything. Now, for those of you that have been following me or have been with me, and I've had the gift of walking this journey for the past 24 years on air, what I can share with you is that this is a unique moment. And feel your breath as I say that. Feel into your body. Notice what you're noticing. And what's most important is to notice what you're noticing through the template of consciousness itself. And I want to bring that up again for you right now. And I want to specifically share with you this one. Now, why did I choose to share this visual with you this morning? Well, this is the prayer wheel. What is a prayer wheel? Well, I've been very, very blessed to travel most of the world. And one of the things I remember so dearly is when I was in Myanmar, when I was in Bhutan, when I was in many other countries that have a strong Buddhist culture, up in Dharamshala in India. The prayer wheel. What is a prayer wheel? Well, a prayer wheel is a reminder. It's a connection. It's a tangible sense of the inner self. The reminder that when we become still on the inside, just the smallest movement can create the greatest creation on the outside. And what you're gazing at right now through the Einstein-Rosen bridge that brings us through multidimensional space and time is the template of consciousness. And you see those beautiful 4 wheels of eternal time that are spinning there. Well, that brings us through all of the energy fields that bring us creation, that bring us life. And I wanted you to note, if you think of this as a clock, physical is at 12 o'clock, emotional, 3 o'clock, mental, 6 o'clock, spiritual, 9 o'clock, yet it's in the center. It's right there in the center that we remember and discover consciousness itself. That is the space where we become our oneness being, our oneness essence, where everything comes together. And you notice right there, there's the hand, right? So that's where we're able to move. When we can move from the center, when we can see that center, then everything that we're experiencing is an extension of our centered presence. So why am I bringing that up right now? Why am I talking about that in these January predictions right now? Well, it's because what is before us? We just came through the 3 super full moons of October, November, and December 2025. 2025 was a year where we were strongly governed by all of the bombardment of that meteoric energy, everything that was working with those alchemical shifts that are happening on that planet. Well, that has brought us, I'm going to offer you another visual here, that has brought us to the 2026 energy. And this 2026 energy, again, is all about experience. Remember, this is a year of divine experience. We're coming out of a year of conscious awareness. So what does that mean? It means that as you gaze back at 2025 and through today, when we have this peak meteor shower, these past 4 days have been very, very powerful energetically on so many different levels. But when you gaze here, I want you to notice what you're noticing and also pay attention to what you're feeling. Look at all of those aspects of the template of consciousness. So as we have entered into this alchemical experience of 2026, the seed of creation itself, now really breathe that in, the seed of creation itself is gazing at you in the essence of your eternal nature and saying, okay, what are you really ready to do? What are you willing to do? What have you prepared for? And are you applying it? We're at that moment where it's no longer about preparation, it's about action. Because you are ready. And as you're gazing at the alchemical experience of 2026, those of you that used to subscribe to my calendar series, you might remember it wasn't so many years ago that this was a very linear visual, right? And then it was back in 2019 when everything started shifting, when we started moving, when we went very much from a linear experience into a non-linear experience. And that has brought us to where we are now. Now, for those of you that may not remember, I want to remind you that those 5 energies that you're seeing there, and remember the sacred 5 energies are all about eternal life. I am as you are. You are the living essence of eternal life. You are that 5-pointed star. Your head, number 1, 2 hands, 2 and 3, your feet, 4 and 5. activating your eternal life presence through informed awareness. What does that mean? It means that you have released that which would seek to limit you. You have grown through the fields of density consciousness and spiritual activism to open your eyes into an all that is focus. Remember that we're all born into density consciousness. What does that mean? It means you're born, you're hungry, you want to be fed, you're wet, you want to be changed, you're emotionally needy. And that's what many people call the fall, right? The fall from consciousness into form, into the emotional body. And then when the emotional body is screaming, rescue me, help me, in a world where the dogma supports victim energy, our mental body comes in and says, you know what? I'm going to get in charge here. I'm going to get in control here. Well, the mental body in that 6 o'clock position will always be in competition with the physical body. The physical body will send you a symptom, right? Remember, the greatest truth detector is your physical body. You cannot, it's just always going to come forward and say, hey, here's what's going on. But it's the mental body that tries to control that. So how do we move through that? Well, we lift. We lift up into that spiritual energy at some point that says, I know there is a greater. I know there is a greater. Yet, the danger of that, and especially as we look at the pyramid of spiritual awakening, is that when we move, when we first open our eyes from me, right? It's all about me and mine, me and mine, me and mine. Greed, jealousy, competition. That's all me and mine, me and mine. When we can lift beyond greed, jealousy, competition, when we lift beyond me, we first lift into a we. Now that in and of itself is an extraordinary jump. It's a beautiful, beautiful method of growth. And I'm going to show you as I'm sharing with this, I want to remind you about how we open up our, what I refer to as our multidimensional conscious awareness. And what you're gazing at right now is how we do that. So you can see that in that third dimensional experience, it's very much about me. But when we lift into that first we, the limitation of that we is it's my group versus your group. This is why spiritual activism, while it is a step along the ladder, it is also a self-limiting experience that brings on where this world has come to right now. You know, it was way back when in 2004 when I first started talking about the pyramid of spiritual awakening and about how spiritual activism was the single most dangerous place to be. And that, sure enough, has brought us to where we are right now. And as you're gazing at this multidimensional opening that calls in the harmonic frequency of resolution, of deep forgiveness, I want you to remember that forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves. And that, go to my website, iamkira.net. If you have not been there, go to iamkira.net, scroll down to the homepage and grab my self-forgiveness practice. It's a 7-day practice. It's extraordinary. I really encourage you to do it. It's my gift to you. Go grab it. Because in this moment right now, notice what you're noticing. Breathe it in. Because when we lift, and we lift through compassion, that compassion begins with compassion for the self. Have mercy on yourself. Now, why am I bringing all this forward right now? And some of you might saying, okay, Kira, got this. It's a review. And if it's the first time you're here with me, thank you for paying attention. Well, the reason I'm doing that is because way back when, it might seem like way back when, but way back when in August, and I'm going to bring it up, on August 8 at the Lions Gate this year, August 8, 2025, last year, excuse me, still dealing with 2026. How about all of you? All right, look what you're gazing at here. This was the moment where the entry of the seed of creation began expanding, and that really started expanding through these new alchemies on August 8, 2025. So what does that mean? Well, what it means is that since that time, since August, just go to August, let go of the exact dates, but go back to August 2025. And what I really encourage you to do is look at what happened in August, what happened in September. You don't need to know the day by day or the play by play. But what happened then has brought you to where you are now. August was the trigger. It was the moment. It was the ignition. And as you're gazing at the visual art that came forward through me at that moment, you're noticing the complexity of the geometries and the unified field of the divine feminine and a benevolent masculine. This is one of the most important energies that we are still learning how to navigate on this planet, and that is the equanimity of a divine feminine with a benevolent masculine. And that can be inside of you. It can be in partnership. And it doesn't necessarily mean man, woman. It's an energy field. There is this essence of divine feminine and benevolent masculine. So as we bring all of that together, how does that lead us to this moment where we are staring at war or peace, where we are staring at war and peace within everything that exists? We're looking at it through our physical body, our emotional body, our mental body, our spiritual body. Consciousness itself is calling out to you and saying, are you ready to relax? Can you relax into the gift of your sense of balance and harmony? Now, in order to do that, I want to remind you, and this is something that I have been sharing with the world, oh my goodness gracious now, for over 22 years. And I have noticed recently on YouTube some other people trying to copy it, but let's pay attention here. What are you staring at? Well, first of all, you're staring at your choice. You know, it's very much red pill, blue pill, the matrix, right? You're either going to go back deep into density, and many are. Me consciousness, my tribe versus, and that's the key, my tribe versus your tribe. One is better than the other. That is very, very much the choice that is here right now. The option is, and it's very much like a war or peace, an internal struggle. Many are finding peace through giving away their power, and many are finding stability through giving away their soul. And it goes back to what I talked about when I opened today. When people are afraid, they will give away their power, and when people are terrified, they will give away their soul. So how do you stop that? How do you prevent that? Well, as you're gazing at here, what you can see is that the seeds of self-sabotage begin with fear, doubt, and hesitancy. Now, your eternal nature is just sitting there having a great time with all of this, that eternal present you that's here to experience all of this. But especially in this moment, as we're entering January 2026, victim consciousness, which is supported by strong fundamental dogmatic traditions, victim consciousness means there will always be a rescuer and there will always be an abuser. And that cycle is sustained through fear, doubt, and hesitancy as that seed of self-sabotage. But what do you see around that? And how do we break through that? Well, first and foremost, we need to release what I'm referring to as the consciousness of sin. How's that for a mouthful, right? How do you break free from victim, rescuer, abuser and step into living the essence of a teacher, mentor, healer, where your life becomes the teaching, the mentoring, the healing? How do you do that? Well, step one, you must release the consciousness of sin, this energy of sin. Now, in order to do that, I have offered you a free series. Right now at this YouTube channel, my podcast, Expanding Consciousness, also over at my website, iamkira.net, is a 4-part series. And I want you to binge watch this. As a matter of fact, part 3 will come out this Tuesday. So you're still catching it in real time. These 4 episodes are designed to assist you to go within and really look at the belief systems, look at that which you're holding on to. Are you resisting emergence itself? Are you resisting expansion? Are you attached to that which, quote unquote, has all hyphen ways been? Because in that attachment, you will find resistance. And in resistance, we block our own emergence. You know, many years ago, there you go. You guys remember these tattoos right here? I am emergence, as are you. When we can accept that we are eternally emerging, that every day we have the blessing of learning something new, experiencing something new, being grateful for the gift of opening our eyes and saying, today is yet another opportunity to feel breath through this beautiful body of form, to decide how and where this expansion will go. That is when we are living the energy of the teacher, the mentor, and the healer. And this is extraordinarily important in 2026, and especially at this moment. You know, one of the things that if you go to my website, iamkira.net, get into the articles, you can read the full 2026 predictions. I'm also published in the Sedona Journal of Emergence. They're all in there. But one of the things to remember is that as the unified field of consciousness itself expands, and through these 5 alchemies of creation that have come forward, we are expanding rapidly. We're all emerging beyond where we have ever been before. Every single one of us is an unknown territory. And as World War III is trying to rise, it's important to know that we are here. We are in a moment, and in this moment, we call it this linear moment, we refer to it as 2026. And what's so beautiful to remember is that it is truly momentous, because as the alchemy of this new era begins to spin with the geometries, what's happening is that you are being reminded with every breath, with every moment, with every connection, who have you attracted into your life? Who has left your life? Who is in front of you right now? Are you noticing, or are you bringing the same lens? Are you open to expanding? Are you open to smiling more? Remember, with every deep conscious breath, whenever we meditate, whenever we consciously breathe, adapt a smile. Bring that smile into your formed awareness. Remember that we are creation, ever creating. You are the living essence of this informed, right, this body, informed awareness that cycles through an infinite gift of experience and choice. So this is actually an astounding accomplishment, and it's part of the collective expansion of consciousness itself. So in this moment, I want to invite you to really relax and to open your mind, open your heart, and I want to dive into what is that peace that passeth all understanding? You ever hear that one? The peace that passeth all understanding. Well, I like putting that one right alongside of forgive them, they know not what they do. You know, many, many years ago, when I was really diving into the work of Krishnamurti and just absorbing that material and so many other beautiful, beautiful mentors along the way, one of the gifts of Krishnamurti for me was the recognition that you are not, until you are aware, you are not responsible. Now, I want to quantify that by saying it doesn't mean you're getting off the hook. It does not mean there are not ramifications. Absolutely not. We live in a world where there are always going to be manifestations and materializations and ramifications. So we're not negating that. What I am saying is that I remember the day, I actually remember the day when it was this massive breakthrough moment. And in that moment, it was a conscious awareness that helped me understand what Krishnamurti meant. It meant that we go through our lives frequently with subconscious responses that are guiding us. And we don't do much about that because the planetary thought body and the belief systems, especially the groupthink on this planet, would want to keep us entrapped in that. And we feel safe in that because we want our little group or our little amount of friends or family or whatever that looks like. And the moment of conscious awareness, the moment that seed ignites within us, how many of you had to walk away from a family? How many of you felt that you, quote, lost a circle of friends? Or maybe something else happened that was this deep, 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 excuse me, sense of a wound? Well, the key is to realize that that was the gift. That is the gift. When we are able to gaze at that and see it as the gift it is, we have been freed as we free others. Now consider that. How often is it the ego that says, I must do this, I have to do this, this is my obligation to do this? Well, in that sense of obligatory human experience, what we're really saying is, I know better than you do. I'm going to control what you're doing because in my experience, you need me to do X, versus the courage to see through the eyes of spiritual neutrality, to be in the compassionate energy that realizes your growth frees everyone around you to grow as well. Now, I want you to breathe that in. Your expansion, your growth, your emergence, right? It frees everyone to have their own experience. However, you need to let go of how that's going to look for them. How many are attached? No, I want them to do this, or I want them to do that, or I want it to feel this way, or I want it to feel that way, or they shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? Stop shoulda, woulda, couldaing all over yourself. And so as we move forward, as we can really accept the freedom of that movement, not only are we freeing ourselves, but you are freeing those around you, because every single one of us has come in to have this moment of incarnation, this moment of creation as part of the blessing of all that I am as you are. So breathe that in. And remember, if you have a question, send it to me, support@selfascension.com. Get onto my website, iamkira.net. And at this moment right now, I do want to bow before all of you that have been reaching out to me for private sessions. And this is why I've offered this extraordinary alchemical journey tune-up that's been happening, this 20-minute, $88 incredible deep dive into you. And I am offering this through January 8th. If you're catching this live right now, get to my website, iamkira.net. There'll be a pop-up. You can get in there. I am running out of appointments, but there are still some left. The reason I'm sharing this with you is right now is the moment to say yes to you in a way that you may not have ever done before. So let me show you what that means on the numerology, on the ascended numerology for this month. So there we are. Look at that. Is that incredible? So as we're gazing at this numerology, the one thing that's really important to remember is that January itself is a month that is a 4. It's always going to be a 4. It doesn't matter what year it is. And in the realms of the ascended numerological sequencing, which remember is the ancient process of the original magi, this is the totality of your soul's journey. What is the 4? It is the root chakra of beingness. January is in front of you saying, you have a new life in front of you. What do you want to do with it? How do you want it to be? Or do you want to take all the old patterns and overlay them in? Or are you ready? Is the war within something that needs to be resolved? And again, get to my website and get that forgiveness practice. So when you gaze at the first chakra, you notice the first chakra is our 4, that is our beingness. And then when we add this year to it, it lifts and it goes right up to that 5 with infinite presence. Now, what does that really mean? The 5 is your truth. Your truth is screaming at you right now. Your truth wants to be heard. It wants to be shared. And it's saying, do not be afraid. You are not a victim. You do not need a rescuer. Thereby, there are no abusers. Remember that frequently the victim, rescuer, abuser is held within, much less externally. Now, when we look at January 1, what happened? And this is that initiation of awareness. Well, as you can see, on January 1, we arrived into a moment of manifested energy. This month, specifically January, is bringing everything into manifest form, putting everything back into order. Vision, dream, sit with your family, sit with your partner, sit with yourself and vision and dream and bring it forward. Bring it forward from the depth of your divine presence. And then look what happened. Just yesterday on that full moon, we arrived at the top of the chart. We arrived at the 12. Now, this is very, very powerful because the 12 came in with a lifeline, and that's unusual. That's that dotted line that you see. Remember that, you can come to the sum of 12 many different ways, 8 plus 4, 10 plus 2. This one decided to come in as the 6 plus 6. So what does that really mean? It means balance. It means second chakra. It means transmuting sex to love and creation. It means intimacy that is deep and filled with the blessing of knowing, creating, expanding, visioning. And then as we have this beautiful 6 plus 6 second chakra, it's tied directly to our star consciousness, our star awareness, which exists just a little bit above the third eye and connects us beyond the limitations of the brain. So in that essence, where does that bring us today? Right now on the 4th, it brings us to beingness. It brings us back into perfect balance. And by the end of the month, you can see where we're going to arrive. We're going to arrive right up there in our lotus chakra where all illumination is contained. So I want to take a moment and share something with you because I have not shared this before on air in 20 some odd years. I have never talked about the physicality of war on our planet or World War III. And I wanted to just share a little bit with you that I remember many, many, many years ago, not so many years ago, but a few, when I was a child, and many of you that are children of the 60s, as I am, might remember my father was a World War II veteran who had severe PTSD. He had been in the South Pacific, he was in the Navy, his ship was bombed, his best friend literally had his head blown off in front of him, and my father never recuperated from that. I grew up with listening to him screaming and always talking about how we should all pray that we would never, ever, ever come to a state where we could have war again, especially a world war. And I wanted to bring this up right now because many of you have been writing me about the attack on Venezuela, and I'm just using the word attack. I'm not politicizing. I am not offering any sense of that. What I am sharing with you is that we are at a moment where the next 3 months, January, February, and March, will see what I call the three gongs of war. And if you read my book, 2012 Atlantean Revelations, then you know I opened that book with a vision that I had when I was only 5 years old. And it was a very strong vision. And for those of you that have not read the book, what I will share with you was that I was standing at a door. I was literally paralyzed, trying to scream out for my mom, but just so paralyzed in that moment I couldn't see. Everything in my field, and it's the only time I've ever had a vision like this, everything in my field turned black and white. It was just like shades of gray. I was gazing out our back door, and then out to what would be the left, or I would call the west at this time, I saw a mushroom cloud arise. And then gazing straight ahead of me, which I would call the north, I saw another one arise. And then gazing out to my right, which would be the east, I saw a third. And there was a very powerful message that came in, and it's in my book. You can read it again. But the essence of that I want to share with you right now was about fear and not letting fear rule, and knowing that there were many multiple potentialities for this specific field of experience. So right now, the reason I'm sharing that with you, the reason I'm bringing all this forward is because over the next 3 months, we will see what will set the stage. And so January, think of it as 3 bells, right? We just came out of those 3 super moons. And what did those 3 super moons do? October, November, December. They ignited these 5 alchemies. They ignited where we are right now in 2026. And so the seed of creation beautifully has come forward and said, within me, contained within me is all, right? That's why we're this little mustard seed all the time, because within this one seed is everything. It's everything that you need. And so these seeds are currently revealing. And in that revelation, what we are seeing is the pyramid of spiritual awakening unfolding before us in real time. So remember, and this is why you want to go take that free course that I have right now, those 4 episodes on how to resolve the consciousness of sin. Binge watch them when all 4 are out there. They're right here at this YouTube station. You should watch it immediately, get started. They're also at my website, iamkira.net. Get there, watch it. So in this moment of resolution, what we just saw was 1 act of 3. And in this January initiation of awareness, remember, it's an initiation of awareness in a year of experience. So this is going to be a very physical year. This is going to be a very experiential year. You're going to feel very, very deeply. Love is going to take on an extraordinary depth of beauty and incredible, expansive energy. So as we are gazing at that, remember that love itself can also be a neutral energy. To love enough to be is a very powerful gift, especially in the essence of fear. So the fear energy, the war energy is here. It's undeniable. This is not meant to offer you anything other than don't put your head in the sand. It's easy at this moment to say, you know what? Red pill, blue pill, right? I want to go back. I want to be famous. I want to eat meat. I want to do all the other things, quoting the Matrix. Or it's that moment of true illumination that can be greeted with the smile and the recognition that everything you need, you have been preparing for. And whether you think you have just started on your journey, whether you think you're all the way on your journey, what I can share with you is that the gift of the journey is arriving into a state of self-ascension, which is the remembrance of your divine nature while carrying this form, and to see as the witness again, to carry the smile of the one that is here to experience, to remember, and to know. Because over the next 3 months, January, February, and March, you're going to see these 3 gongs ring again. And we've already had the first ring in January. There's going to be another ring in February, and there's going to be a 3rd one in March. And to know that when these come in, what they're really saying to you is, are you ready? Do you have the courage, the tenacity, the compassion, and do you have the love to stand in the witnessing energy of all that you are in the face of that which is trying to take it from you? So breathe that in, because at the end of the day, you are the creator, and you are the one that is here to sustain this illuminated presence. How you do that is your unique journey. It's yours to be with. And as we come forward today and as we complete this moment together, of which I am so grateful for, I want to remind you of one thing. Whenever you have someone offer you information, whether it's me or the myriads of people that are out there, and I've been here at YouTube for over 20 years, I'm completely documented, go back into this channel, and if you have not yet watched my short video on the ultimate mind control and how to free yourself from that, would you promise me you'll do that today? Because it really is worth the watch. But as you are in this moment right now, I want you to remember one thing. You took birth to be here right now. You are here because your life matters. You're here because you are evolving. And wherever that journey is taking you, no matter what you may feel in a temporary moment, bring those hands to your heart, have mercy on yourself, and remember that all is truly well when you carry the conscious awareness of love, compassion, and the teacher, healer, mentor. We're in for a big month. And remember that anything that makes you feel small is only within, and let it rest. Breathe, be, and know. I love you, I honor you, and I am so grateful for this time.